about expressing yourself authentically, is what I would say. Everything that I did in my past, rugby's a prime example of that. I was never really able to express myself authentically because I didn't believe in myself. And it's probably one of the reasons that I didn't do as well back then as I possibly could have. So that kind of negative talk that we have within our own mind is the thing that holds us back. And when we come to do something like start a business and become a personal trainer and say, right, this is what I do, this is what I do it for, and really express yourself, what happens is we change our voice, the voice that me and you will have a conversation about. And then when I'm on camera, the things I talk about, because I have to say certain buzzwords, is completely different. And my kind of role is to kind of like speak to your heart and get you to speak from your heart to me and try and get that kind of conversation. And it always is. And it was with me and you, Pete. It was just, let's just start and let's just talk about these things. I'll ask you a few questions. And if we're not quite there, we'll ask a slightly deeper question and try and get to the core of it. And we're really talking about who you are, who you've been as a person. And that's ultimately what it is, because what we do is we know who we are. We don't really express that. You know, we try and portray ourselves as this other thing that we think people want. And that's the kind of, I think that's the disconnect between people being stuck, because nothing connects when you're trying to be something you're not, right? Yeah. And that's not people being fake. It's just doing things that they think they should do. Or sometimes, in some cases, being told what they should do. You know, you join a coaching course, or some people out there who are potentially mentors or coaches will say, right, this is my program. This is what we do. This is step one. Do this, do this, do this. And that just doesn't connect with everyone. And and what happens is, because we don't believe in ourselves, we think, oh, that's my fault. I knew I was rubbish. That's why I can't complete it. Rather than actually challenging the coach and saying, hold on, you know, I've paid a lot of money for this and you promised me X, Y, and Z, but I'm stuck at A, right? Yeah. And it's their job to get you from where you are to where you want to be. But because we doubt ourselves, we instantly think to ourselves, oh, this is me. I've always been this way. I've never been able to do this. So they just stay quiet and they move on to the next course or the next coach or the next course. Yeah. And actually, no one actually takes a step back and just sits down for a second, take a breath and just go, right, what do I want? And the person isn't probably going to do that. It'd probably take a coach to come in and ask those questions. And so what I would say is that asking those kind of human level questions of who are you? You know, who have you always been? Tell me a story about a time where, you know, you felt this or did this. And before you know it, like me and you, Pete, we started talking about your dad and all this kind of stuff, which, you know, loads of stuff came out. You know all this stuff. And it was funny because as we were doing it, you were laughing because you were saying, I know all this. Yeah, I know this. Yeah. I know that. But it was taking all that stuff that we already know and packaging it up and taking away all the crap, if you will, and just bringing it down to the core of it and going, right, this is who you are. This is what you do. This is what you do best. And now that's it. And the initial feeling is that can't be it because it's not enough. And we feel that way because it's what we do authentically. We do it naturally. Like the reason why people connect and the reason why people like other people is because they have something about them. And the way they talk, the way they, you know, your uniqueness might be the fact that you explain things through jokes, you know, and you're very kind of just laid back. That is your thing. But no one would ever think to market the fact that you're a funny guy, right? But yeah. As soon as you dive into that, that's when the magic happens. This is interesting because, like, the conversations. But honestly, we were on. We were talking over Zoom, weren't we, when we were doing this? We were on the like. I'd be saying to Sean, because this was over lockdown as well, wasn't it? I'd be saying to Sean, I've got to go and talk to Pom. She was like, right, I'll see you in about 4 hours then, because we'd just be on literally, honestly, for 4 hours, not talking as well, just thinking. A lot of it was you just sitting there not even looking at the screen, just sitting like this, and I'm like, oh right, okay, I've got to think about this. And this has just reminded me of the Dave Whitley podcast, because I was going to say this is really hard to do, like think deeply about yourself and everything, but actually
it's not, because Dave Whitley would say, don't say that because that makes it hard. Because you think that it isn't hard to do. You've just got to think about it deeply.
Yeah.
And which isn't hard to do, but it's something that needs doing. And you were very good at getting that out. And like you say, you condense it all down to here's a few values that you hold dear to yourself. You hold dear in your life, which aren't just the normal values that everybody probably should, the ones that you actually do. And here's like a statement you can use for an elevator pitch and all of that, even though you're not like trying to hard sell anything and all of that, but it's just like, it is just you all in one package. And I even run a lot of it past Sean as well. And she was like, yes, that's you. No, that's not such you, and all that, because what you were just saying there as well about connecting with people and all of that, people can see when you're being false as well, can't they? They can see straight through it, especially the people you're closest to. And they're like, what are you doing that for? And it's like, because I think I should. And they're like, that's not you though. You know, but not everyone has that conversation. So it helps out with all that as well. So like I was saying to the listeners, it helps out with finding genuine coaches who are there to want to help. And you will see straight through it if they don't. And you'll connect with people who do.
Absolutely. We're talking about branding, but and businesses and stuff, but it goes for health as well, right?
Yeah. No, this is what I mean.
It's universal. It's, you know, whatever your goal is. In fact, I had a conversation yesterday. I got a missed call, and this woman, I called her back, and she answered. I said, "Hey, I just had a missed call," and she said, "Yeah." Basically, my son's had an accident a few years ago, and you know he struggles with kind of movement and things. Is this something that you would do? And instantly, my thought was, "Oh, genuinely, I'm not sure." Right. Whereas in the past, I probably would have gone, "Yeah, I can do that for you," you know, because potentially it's another client, which means it's more money and all the rest of it. But my thought process now is, "Oh, you know what? I don't know, but let's go and have a conversation." Right.
Yeah.
And what we'll do is, and that the whole purpose of that conversation isn't to try and sell you into my place and my training package. It's actually to find out what the issue is, what you need, and whether this is for you. So, and if it's not, and if I can't help, if this is beyond my kind of remit, then let's together figure out what it is that you want and need, and let's find someone who can help you, you know. And I think it's our job as coaches to make sure that is part of our process, which is, it's not just, "Oh, I don't do that, sorry," click, and the phone goes down. It's actually, "Hey, yeah, come down, let's have a chat, and let's see what it is you're after." And, you know, we all know people in the industry, and we know enough people to be able to go, "All right, this isn't my thing, but I know a person who's perfect for this." You know?
I mean, there's, when you rarely in life sit down and come up with your own personal brand, do you? I mean, you do it for a business. You sit there and you have a think about what you want to achieve, who your kind of customer is, things like that, what your ethos is. This often rarely happens as an individual, does it? You don't really sit down at the age of 16 and say, right, now I've finished secondary school, I'm going to be this kind of person. I'm going to target these kind of friends. I'm going to be doing this, that, and the other. You never really do that. And it's actually quite a useful thing to do when you're running a business, isn't it? That you,
it really is.
Because you are kind of, particularly if you run it, you're very much ingrained in what that business is. So
sometimes I think you do it, but you do it unconsciously. Like, as in through your life, you'll change who you are and how you react and all of that, depending on jobs and university and school and different friendship groups and stuff like that. But you do it subconsciously and kind of mold into whatever the group collective is, rather than being an individual sort of
I suppose thing. Working with a coach, whether it's a business coach or a fitness coach or even a counselor or people like that, is to bring your awareness to it, because like you say, you're probably doing it unconsciously, aren't you? You're
absolutely.
Naturally.
Well, the thing is, like, we like you said, Pete, we mold to people, and what we find is then that we don't actually have an opinion then. You know, my opinion is just your opinion when I'm talking to you. But when I'm talking to somebody else, my opinion is their opinion, because I want to fit in. And as humans, that's what we want. We just want to fit in. And actually, that's the issue, is that everyone wants to try and fit into, like in this case, like the fitness industry, which means we need to talk about calorie deficit And we need to talk about all these other things that, yes, they matter down the line and depending on what you're doing. But for someone who is in a hole, their only purpose is to try and get out of that hole. And they're not going to get out of that hole through a calorie deficit. Do you know what I mean? That they need to understand some deeper things that are going on of why they got into that hole and actually the next step of getting out of that hole, right? And so understanding yourself first and foremost is key to everything. I mean,